Today is June 21st. The Town Council meets and completes the annual budget process. This year, the total expenditures will reach over $160 million. Coming up on Barnstable Today, I'm Len Gobiel. Thursday evening, the Town Council met and heard from Town Manager Tom Lynch about how the libraries in our town work together.
Town libraries are not departments within the town of Barnstable government, but function as 7 independent organizations, each with its own board of trustees. The primary mission of these independent cooperating libraries is to promote lifelong learning and enrichment by offering free access to library materials and services to meet the educational, informational, and recreational needs of town residents. You're being handed material that you're going to hear more about in a second. Individual schools, organizations, and businesses within towns belonging to the CLAMS network are provided free access to library materials and services. The 7 village libraries approached my office, and they requested a total funding increase for fiscal year 2014 of 7%, or $105,535. And that was one decision package that was put before us after meeting with the membership of the library committee and their leadership, and knowing the valuable work that they provide and the integral part of each village that they are, I decided to fund them at the full 7%. That's going to bring the total FY 2014 funding request to $1,630,979, which is the fiscal year 2014 municipal appropriation requirement mandated by the state in order to avoid the waiver application process. Each year they have to go to the state with the way we've been funding them and seek that waiver application. We thought that the programs they were suggesting justified this increase and also had us meet this requirement so that we could qualify for state funding and not worry about the waiver situation. We do have members of the library boards that are here, but I believe Mr. Stan Goldstein is going to make a presentation on behalf of the libraries.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Goldstein.
Yes. Good evening, Madam President, town councilors, Tom and Mark. Mark, right? Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And Tom has summarized it very well. I'm a resident of Cotuit. Some quick facts. Okay, the libraries are all in the town of Barnstable are all 501c3 private libraries. They all receive partial funding from the town. We'll talk a little bit more about the numbers in a moment. And the town library committee, which I'll refer to as the TLC, is composed of 2 trustees and a director from each library. And our mission is to oversee the distribution of town funding. Okay, and the town funding for FY 2013 was, as you see it on the board, the total budget was, and I'll talk in round numbers here, $2.7 million. Out of that, the town provided $1.5 million. So as you can see, the individual libraries have a lot of work to do to raise the rest of the money that they need to operate efficiently.
That motion passed unanimously. Director of Golf Operations Bruce McIntyre answered some questions on golf fees.
Really, when you look at golf fees, the big change is the first part of your question. Our fees, our prime time greens fees, Saturdays, Sundays, holidays, during the best times of the day, are less expensive than our neighboring municipalities, equal to in many cases, and less expensive in many other cases. When you start to look at golf in the Midwest, golf down south, it is absolutely cheaper. There's no question about it. But it is a regional thing that happens. But as far as what we're charging right now, I think that we're priced absolutely right for the market and for the facilities and the product that we're offering at this time.
Yep, these are people that are from the South and from Texas. Texas, one of them, one's from Maryland, somebody from
You know,
Georgia.
it's so common to find golf facilities down south where it's a golf facility with 8 golf courses. And it takes a lot of golfers, and the maintenance practices in taking care of southern turf and southern golf courses is very much different than what we do up in the northern area, or the cool season turf that we take care of up here.
So you have done an analysis of Cape and others.
Absolutely. We do an
New England
analysis every
Seashore.
year when we're getting ready to actually start our fee discussions at the golf committee level. Doing it early this year because, of course, they've changed the way that we develop the fees for setting the tax rate, et cetera, for enterprise accounts. But I've just done a complete golf course by golf course, municipal courses, public courses, privately owned public courses on the Cape, southeastern Mass. Of course, Plymouth has a huge effect on our business now as well. And I can safely say that we're definitely priced where we should be.
Bud Briel, the airport manager, made a presentation and discussed the recent federal equestration issue that made such publicity recently.
In past meetings with the council and the town manager, you have asked me to report back to you on a number of issues. In April, during the CIP hearings, I reported back to you on the Airport Enterprise Fund reserves and Airport Capital Improvement Plan reimbursement summaries. Tonight, before I start on the FY 2014 budget, I would like to address a few more issues. First, I want to point out that the airport is an enterprise fund department of the town, but we operate similarly to an independent business with full cost recovery and with no local tax or town funding support. The first item I wanted to talk tonight about was federal sequestration. Federal sequestration of funds, as it impacts the federal fiscal years 2013 and 2014, is having a potentially adverse effect on airport operations. As you may know, we operate a contract tower, and by that I mean that our air traffic control services are funded under a contract from the FAA with Midwest Air Traffic Control Services, and we have temporarily managed to avoid the closure of our contract tower. We avoided the first rounds of FAA cuts as our operations exceeded 10,000 commercial operations a year, primarily due to the intervention of Congress and by support from our congressional delegation through the Reducing Flight Delays Act of 2013. This act gave the FAA authority to use available monies to eliminate controller furloughs and stop the FY 2013 scheduled closure of 149 contract towers. However, we still face the uncertainty of continued funding for all contract towers in the FAA 2014 budget. An encouraging development this week is that the House DOT FAA Appropriations Subcommittee bill for the federal fiscal year 2014 includes $140 million in dedicated funding for the contract tower program. But this is just the first step and is not yet approved, nor has it been vetted by the Senate yet. So we still have our work cut out for us. The Reducing Flight Delays Act of 2013 also allowed the FAA, for the first time, to use airport improvement funds to offset the furloughs and contract tower closure costs. We depend heavily upon FAA airport improvement funds and discretionary funding for our capital improvement plans. We are waiting right now to see what that impact may be on our proposed $8 million Taxiway Alpha reconstruction project. The project has been designed and is shovel-ready, and at a much reduced cost following public bids that may save us as much as $2 million from engineering estimated costs. This should be, as I call it, a no-brainer for FAA funding. We have our fingers crossed. If sequestration does impact all contract towers, this will cause the closure of 8 towers in Massachusetts, including Hyannis, Martha's Vineyard, and New Bedford. This will have a tremendous impact on aviation in the entire region, and we are working actively with State Senator Dan Wolf and our congressional delegation to try and avert this potential economic and flight safety, I call it a disaster. I will keep you advised as time progresses.
That motion passed unanimously as well. For Barnstable Today, I'm Len Gobiel.